If you're not thinking about what you want your day to look like, how can you be upset if you're missing targets when you don't know what your targets are? When one of my colleagues said, how am I supposed to be a coach when my life is such a shit show? And I said to her, it's not about you. My brain needs other people in order to activate, to complete the circuit. We don't have to do this all ourselves.
If you caught our first conversation with Ryan Mayer, then you know already he's not just a coach for ADHD adults. He's an ADHDer himself, living and thriving with this condition. Today, we go even deeper into Ryan's life. We'll discuss the stories you're telling yourself. You know the ones, always running on a loop in the background, deciding whether you succeed or fail. We also get into what is called mental rehearsal and why visualization isn't woo-woo nonsense, but something that elite performers have been using forever. Also, we talk about Ryan's brand new PAL program, a practical, affordable accountability buddy model he built because coaching alone wasn't enough. If you've ever said, I know what I need to do, I just can't make myself do it, boy howdy, that hits hard. Well, then this episode is for you. My name is Stephen Tonti, and co-hosting with me today is
Aaron Smith, LCSW and ADHD coach.
Excellent. And this is the Attention Different podcast. Today, we are thrilled as ever because friend of the pod, friend of ours, homie, ride or die for life amongst the ADHD influencer community and the ADHD coaching and neurodiversity advocacy community, Ryan Mayer is back in the studio. Could we get I want that round of applause sound effect. Woo! Yeah. David, there it is. There it is. Oh, look at him. Take a beat. Take a beat. We are stoked to go deeper with Ryan today. Welcome to the show, Ryan Mayer. It's good to have you back.
So good to be back. This is incredible.
Also, the hat. We haven't talked about the hat yet, but clearly I want one. It says, for those listening, it says hashtag what? What does it say?
It says hashtag ADHD, Stephen.
Hell
and
yeah,
also,
it does.
I'm wearing a shirt, which is also from my ADHD awareness collection. And it says hope.
You have a collection?
I have a collection.
This is merch. This is Ryan Mayer merch. Wow. Wow. Guys, if you're not watching the podcast, go ahead to YouTube, Attention Different, and check out the podcast version of this episode where you can see the hashtag ADHD hat and the Hope shirt, both parts of Ryan Mayer's merch.
Which can be purchased, I'm assuming, on Ryan Mayer's website.
Hell yeah.
RyanMayerCoaching.com.
RyanMayerCoaching.com. All right. Well, Aaron's going to take us away with some questions, and then at the end, we'll make sure to swing back to those pluggables.
Great. So we wanted to start off with basically what's changed or evolved in your practice, Ryan, since we last met. Has there been any new insights or practices, tools, approaches that you've been implementing?
Nope.
Just highly doubt that.
No, I was perfect. Cut, print, tape.
I was choosing between that answer of nope and everything. Honestly, just because for those of us that have faster than normal brains, things are always changing. We're always thinking. We're always looking to see what's coming next, figuring out what's working in the business and what's not, frankly. And that tends to be what drives it even more than all of the ideas that I have. Just always thinking about the client. If we're doing client-centered or patient-centered work, then the solutions are going to show themselves.
Any specific approaches or tools that you found interesting?
Something I've gotten into recently, and it was inspired by one of my clients. It's an oldie but a goodie. I'm going to actually show the book here. Psycho-Cybernetics.
Whoa.
That's a really fancy way to say, what is your inner dialogue telling you? The way that they phrase it in Dr. Maxwell Maltz's work here is self-image, and how our self-image is our floor and our ceiling. It's basically self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think the quote is attributed to Henry Ford that says, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're probably right. And that's essentially what this book is saying is if someone like us with ADHD considers ourselves to like, oh, I'm always a person that runs late. I'm bad with numbers. I'm awkward around people, or whatever this track that we play on repeat in our minds might be. That's going to prove itself to be true. Subconsciously, we're going to do things that lead us to that end point.
Yeah, it's
so
our
I've
inner
been working with
dialogue, our
clients.
self-talk, our self-image.
Exactly. So I've been encouraging clients to think about what are the stories that they are telling themselves. And then, is that the kind of person you want to be? And if it's not, what can you do to change it?
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's very powerful, because I think people underestimate that. They're looking for the external tools, but what we're talking about here is the internal messaging, the scripts we're playing in our head, the dialogue we say to ourselves, how we view ourselves in our own mind, and how we envision our own success or failure, and what that creates. You know, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in our lives. If we believe that we can't do something, or we're limited in some way, that actually comes to pass a lot of the times. And the reverse is true too, right? The more you believe and the more you can visualize success, the more likely that outcome is as well.
Hey, Steven here. Sorry to interrupt. We just wanted to take a brief moment to tell you about this week's sponsor. At Attention Different, our mission is simple. Offer ADHD adults proven practical strategies for living a more balanced, fulfilled ADHD life. And that is why we are thrilled to offer our latest course, Thriving with Adult ADHD. While other courses might focus on the pain and struggle of being an adult with ADHD, and we do not want to minimize that, this course is designed around accessible, relevant, and applicable techniques that address the most common challenges facing ADHD adults. Inside Thriving with Adult ADHD, you will learn how to better understand your adult ADHD and gain clarity about how your brain works. Get organized by building routines and habits to bring structure to your days. Regulate your emotions by developing strategies to manage your emotional ups and downs. Thriving with Adult ADHD features 2 hours of on-demand video, 10 downloadable resources, lifetime access to the material, and a satisfaction guarantee. Go to attentiondifferent.com/thriving to sign up now. That's attentiondifferent.com/thriving to sign up now. Hey, thanks for the quick break. Now back to the interview.
I was going to add that quite literally yesterday, I was catching up with an old friend who's a writer out in Hollywood, and really introspective, kind of like self-wise guy. Like he's done a lot of work on himself. And we were talking exactly about this at a certain point, being like the outside and the inside, the internal and external. And if we don't attempt through the work, right, whether it be therapy, meditation, yoga, etc., sort of these more spiritual practices, these self-reflective practices, to like meet the inside with the outside and try to connect them and make them positive, right? Or build positivity in there, self-love, radical acceptance, then there's constant friction then, right? There'll be this discordance between them, this dissonance between them. So they both there has to be balance externally and internally.
And I would say that the internal story is the one that's going to win, because it's closest to you.
Exactly.
And so if, like, what I have personally done, if I'm doing the surface level where I'm saying affirmations or telling people, oh yeah, like I'm successful, but in my heart, I'm not believing that, I'm not going to be successful. And this comes from that, picking up from part 1 of the epic conversation that I had on the Attention Different podcast. In my previous career as a sales professional, I always thought internally I was a failure. And sure enough, I didn't do well in that job. So I think that's what's been such a big shift in my time as an entrepreneur, is that I'm already a success, regardless of what the scoreboard shows or the bank account shows or whatever external trappings there might be. Like, I know I'm a winner. So for those people who are listening right now and you've been having a lot of negative self-talk, I would encourage you, comment and let all of us know, what's the true you? What's the track you want to be playing?
Hell yeah.
What's like the more preferred version of you, regardless of where you're coming from, entering into that conversation? Yeah, it's if you can reframe it and refocus your own internal dialogue to something that's more productive, constructive, supportive, compassionate, how do you internalize that to make it be the thing that you want to step into every day, right? Like it's not, and it has to be something that you believe. I think that's what you're saying. It's this self-concept and belief that's deeper than just like saying blanket positives. I think people do that. Like they're like, oh, I want to just look in the mirror and say I'm great or something like this, some blanket positive statement. And those actually don't work because we don't believe it. We have to actually, I think, point to deeper strengths and capacities that reveal within us things that are true, as you said, Ryan, right? Like those are our core truths that if we come to it with that attitude, this isn't how I'm doing at my job right now. This isn't based on the last performance report. This isn't based on the opinion of my boss or someone else. This is based on an internal belief.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask, how do you do that? Like, how can clients do it? How can listeners do that? Because it sounds great, but how do we in ourselves? How did you get there?
What the listeners or viewers don't know is that we tried to schedule this round 2 a few weeks ago, but then we ended up moving it to today. And I'm so glad that happened because the shift has honestly happened for me just in the last few weeks. Because right now in early 2026, we're just wrapping up Q1 here, and there's been a lot of shifts, external shifts that have impacted my business that have put this to the test, like storm tested it, where I have to reestablish the foundation of who I am. And Stephen touched on this earlier, where he said a deeper practice like meditation or spirituality, or in my case, like I'm Christian, I'm Catholic. And what it really helped for me to think about is like, how does God look at me if you're someone who believes? And it's like, well, God doesn't make junk. So like that helps to remind me,
that just sounds like where I come from. That sounds like a very Southern, like Catholic coded line. God didn't make junk. Right. That's a great line.
and it has helped me because it's like, oh yeah, that's right. So my external performance, because a lot of times we equate, to Aaron's point about the performance review. I used to have bosses, or organizations where I would receive my performance evaluation and it would say meets most. So then I would think of myself as a meets most human. But as we talked about in episode 1, that is not who we are. So to answer Aaron's question, how do we do this? How do we implement it? It's repetition. Every day is a new day. Or as my dad likes to say, I just talked to him earlier, actually, right before the podcast. Another day, another chance at everything. Nice. So in other words, you may have fallen short of your to-do list yesterday. Okay, well, let's focus on what we can do today. And the first thing we should be doing is thinking about, who do we want to show up as? Who are we? We're human beings. We're not human doings. So Who do you want to be today?
Yeah. Keeping that in mind, entering in the day is like, it's how we start. I like to think about it this way too with clients. Like we've heard like, win the morning, win the day. And I think that can be true, but I think it starts even the night before. It starts in that ruminative space of thinking about what's coming up tomorrow. If we can imagine and kind of go through the recap of the previous day and come to a better sense of self and reflection within ourselves of accomplishment, of gratitude, acceptance, then the next day sets itself. It like creates that reality with us, because we're believing in that moment. Like we're setting ourselves up for success that day and the night before. Of like, how is tomorrow gonna be? How am I gonna approach every relationship in my life? How present am I gonna be tomorrow? What's important for me? Right. And so it's not just, I think people get stuck in the like to-do list, this never-ending thing of to-dos and check this off. And okay, that makes me productive. That makes me valuable. That makes me worthwhile. But it's not. Like our value doesn't come from that stuff. Our value comes from a deeper place. And I had this happen recently with like a client. I was kind of coming into a session feeling a little bit low. And I thought, like, I was questioning myself, right? I was doubting myself. I was thinking, am I adding value? And I even just like stated it to the client. I just put it out there because I sometimes I'm just radically honest in a way with my clients. I'm like, is this helping you? Like, are we doing the work that you really value? And is it important to you? And like, is this meeting your needs right now? And I gave him an option. I'm like, we can pause the sessions if you want. We can put things on hold so you can go ahead and focus on other goals. And this particular client was like telling me things about financial strain and stuff. And so I wanted to be mindful of that. And I was thinking, is the value of what she's spending in our sessions, is it worth it in this time where she's under financial stress in her life? So I was doubting my value that I was adding in her life, and I just put it out there. And then she came back, to my surprise. She's like, no, this right here is bringing so much value to me. Like this is literally the best thing that I've invested in. And she was stating how important it is. And it reminded me, I was like, wow, like sometimes our own narrative in our head gets ahead of us and we think, I might not be doing enough. I might not be adding enough value to this client. Their situation isn't changing fast enough. Like we got to get ahead of ourselves. And I think we have to realize that like, no, it's not that self-doubt and that imposter syndrome that comes up for many of us. That voice is oftentimes wrong. It's actually like taking into an account of all of the information and evidence that's out there, including just looking for objective signs and believing in our value wholeheartedly.
Something that I want to say there, because that was so on point for me, was something that you said we would cover during the episode, which is coaching other people with ADHD. We as coaches show up authentically ourselves, and sometimes we may be feeling low, and it's okay to acknowledge that. But one thing I'll never forget is during my ADHD coach training, when one of my colleagues said, how am I supposed to be a coach when my life is such a shit show? And I said to her, it's not about you.
Yeah.
And not in a challenging way, but just reframing for her that as long as we as practitioners and help people in the helping profession can help our clients to see a reflection of themselves, to be a neutral supporter of them, help them to think deeper, to hold space for and allow their minds to slow down a little bit. That's what makes us a good coach. It has nothing to do with our own level of success or having our life together.
Yeah.
It's about what we do for them.
Yeah, it's about holding that space for them to explore the things that they need to do, and oftentimes being that mirror. I think there's like the co-regulation aspects, and this goes into relationships too, which we can get into in a second as well.
Yeah,
if there's time. But yeah, I think that's one of the basic challenges and pivotal fundamental things that we can do with clients is provide a space to slow down and essentially co-regulate. And what I mean by that is like our nervous systems and our executive function. It's moving so fast and we're having all these flooding of thoughts and that kind of stuff. But if we can kind of get into a space where we're both showing up and regulating in a way and validating perspectives, feelings, it opens up stuff that's oftentimes not looked at. So we're just holding space in a container for that to exist in a very profound way. So in a sense, it's like, yes, it matters what we do on the outside, right? Like, I think it informs our presence and what we can offer to people. But like you said, Ryan, it's not the end all be all, because really it's about providing that connection and that space for the client to do the work and for us to be able to have those powerful conversations and questions that elicit the change talk and the things that the person wants to work on. And hopefully we can get there together where we're helping guide that person to their own answers and reconstruct some of those narratives that they're telling themselves that's blocking them from accomplishing the very things that they want to do.
You said something earlier that I want to touch on because it's so important, following up on that point you just made about working together to help them to actualize the internal version of themselves and the external version of themselves that they want. And that is the concept of visualization or mental rehearsal. It's no coincidence why US fighter pilots, pro athletes, musicians that perform at a really high level, the folks that are extremely successful at what they do, they see themselves being successful in their minds first. And this is something that I think a lot of folks might write off as kind of woo-woo, and maybe it's common sense, but is it common practice? Because I don't know that it is, at least not in my own experience, not with my clients. So this is a refresh for me on this, but just to remind everyone, if you're not thinking about what you want your day to look like, how can you be upset if you're missing targets when you don't know what your targets are? So if you don't have something really specific, and one of the Coach Ryanisms that my clients love is specific is terrific. That you have to have some very specific things you're working on in order to know if you've hit the target. Because most times what I experience and my clients do too is we are very busy. We keep ourselves very busy during the day, but what are we working towards? And then at the end of the day, oh my gosh, I got nothing done. Okay, well, what were you trying to get done? Did you pick that? Because that's what's really important, is we have to see the target in order to hit the target. Yeah. And you can do it with mental rehearsal.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding us about that. That's critical, because if you don't have intentions, how can you ever actually achieve it? What we visualize, we can actualize. That's
bars. If I may add, this is not because I don't know, I'll always lambaste The Secret. Like, this is not the power of positive thinking or The Secret, or like these movements that tell you like you can manifest it just by thinking it. We're talking about something that's like, I'm glad that Ryan underlined, right? Like pro athletes, Olympians, F1 race car drivers, like public speakers, politicians, etc. People who are about to do a thing, right? Or have a state of being that they're going to enter. We're talking about the mental rehearsal of like going through the steps, playing back the tapes in your head. And part of that visualization process is seeing yourself cross the finish line, seeing yourself on the podium. Those positive possible outcomes are a wonderful add-on in that process. But we're also talking about a practice. Like, these are people who are actually rehearsing the steps in their head. They're hyper visualizing the process. And I can say from personal experience, I've done this my entire life. I have done this my entire life when it comes to public speaking and performance. If I'm about to drum in a show, now in a band, but if I'm back in a band and on the drums, if I'm about to play a show, I am looking at the set list and I am playing those songs in my head, right? And I'm trying to play through as much of them as I can in my head. And this practice is kind of like this metaphysical concrete bedrock. It's like the ground you stand on, right? And I just wanted to underscore that and repeat that this is very intimate to me as well.
Yeah, the reason why that works, like, just I think neurobiologically.
Hit us with the neurobiology, Aaron. I love it.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think that the reason why that works is because what we're doing is we're activating those very same neural pathways that we do during the activity itself. Our brain does not differentiate between a dream state, a visualization, imagination, and reality. So, and we can find this example in our own lives. Like, have you ever been in a movie theater and gotten fully engrossed and even forgot you're in the movie, right? The audience disappears around you. You think, it's just me and this main character in the movie, right? Everything moves away. Well, that experience that you have, it's actually like similar to this, where like your brain is imagining that you're experiencing all of the emotions and all of the same things that this character is. You're aligning with them. So we can do that in our mind. We can become that main character in our mind of our own story, and then imagine that character playing through different actions in a sequence, and then getting the results that you want. It's important here to to say that it has to be, for this to work well, we want to do it in a validating and encouraging state of mind. Like we don't, if you bring in a bunch of doubts and imagining failure and imagining difficulties and disappointment, that's not going to be helpful. That's probably going to set you up for a whole different set of problems. You do need to kind of like go through it and trust yourself and have this, okay, I'm going to be able to do this. Like imagine if it was going well, if everything was going as you'd hoped, right? All of my energy and focus and discipline and practice and all the other stuff that I've done up to now, it's all aligning really well. And it's happening just the way I'd imagine it. And that's what we want to conjure up in these moments. So yeah, the reason why this works is because we're kind of like preparing those neural networks to fire and starting that happening. So then when we execute or when we initiate the action, it's easier. It doesn't take, there's less resistance to even just beginning it. And we've already kind of prepared the groundwork for all of those neural pathways to fire and those neurochemicals, right, neurotransmitters to be released and stimulated and signaled. And that's the reason why
it's like priming.
Actually
sounds
works.
like priming, like a priming the pump or stretching. You're priming. Yeah. Aaron, what's our next question? We probably got room for one or two more. Do we want to tee up part 2 with maybe some relationship dives, or we have other coaching questions?
Did I just hear there's going to be a part 3? I think I did.
Heck yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, because here's a preview of part 3. I just started making this right now. Like you got to get clear expectations with your partner. So I'll have this little visual all ready to go.
We're gonna clip that. That's gonna be a thumbnail for teeing up part 3. So we're on the subject of coaching and Ryan's coaching practices. What's changed? What's new? Self discoveries, professional discoveries.
I've got big news. I got to share. I had this epiphany about 6 months ago, and I think I mentioned this in part 1. But if I didn't, super quick recap.
Bears repeating.
Radical acceptance. We talk about it a lot. I know it's something that is big here on the show. And what I realized about myself is that my brain needs other people in order to activate, to complete the circuit.
Right.
So I bring in virtually either people from my own coaching community or outside contractors to do body doubling or virtual co-working to get things done, or to delegate, to elevate, delegating the things that my brain is like, oh, I don't want to, I don't really like that. Okay, give it to someone who likes that. The epiphany came when I'm like, wait a second, why am I not offering this same kind of thing to my clients?
Oh.
So here's what I came up with. And the attention different audience is one of the first to hear about it.
Whoa.
I call it the PAL program, because everyone needs a PAL.
Yeah.
And PAL is an acronym, a very clever one, if I may be so bold, that stands for Professional Accountability Liaison. In other words, it's your accountability buddy. Except because here's what I was finding. People would love the coaching, but they needed more. And many times we would get onto calls and they would say, hey, I just got to get this thing done. You've already taught me so much. Can you just, stay with me, body double with me while I do this thing, whatever the thing is. And while that is good, I started feeling what Aaron was feeling earlier about, is this the best use of our time? Is this the most value? Mm-hmm. So now this is a value add for my clients, and it's a standalone. So if someone comes to me and they're having a conversation and they're like, yeah, I just need help staying on task. I get distracted. I'm doom scrolling or fill in the blank with all the other ADHD tendencies. I can say, maybe you work with a pal. Maybe you don't even need coaching because you already know what you want to do. You already know how to do it. So instead of paying hundreds of dollars to work with me, you can pay $20 an hour and work with someone from my pal team who can sit with you. And this has been just incredible results for my clients. because now they don't have to have any of that shame around, I shouldn't have to ask for help. Who cares? Who cares if you need someone to sit with you and ask you, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Wouldn't you rather pay $20 to get some incredible results out of this next hour? So that's what we've been doing. And that's been a big change for us.
Ryan, I'm in the middle of trying to find an executive assistant. I mean, this real talk. Like I finally hit my brick wall of not being able to juggle all the balls, spin all the plates myself. And this is coming from somebody who is more sober of mind, body, and spirit than I have been in years. Like my frontal cortex and my executive functioning are online and they're working, and I'm able to pivot middle of the day. I tell people I don't change gears. I change vehicles like 5 times a day. Right. And you have to know how to operate every vehicle. And I've gotten to the point as I speak to you and our audience of, I have an interview today with somebody about being an exec assistant. And that is quite literally to have someone, as we know it and love it, body double, an accountability buddy who sits next to me, and I pay them to do that. So I love this program that you have people you trust and you know who know your program, that somebody can pay dollars and cents compared to a full hour of coaching or a full 2 hours of therapy to just sit with them and say, do that thing, call that person, send that email, write the 3 lines, write 4 more lines, write 5 more lines. You know, we hire personal trainers, right? We hire personal trainers to take us to the gym and encourage you to do those 5 extra sets, those 6 extra sets. Like, come on, let's do 4 more reps, 4 more reps, right?
Yeah, you can imagine the trainer standing behind you to make sure you don't drop the bar on your chest. And that's what the pal does. They're standing there spotting you. And saying, hey, what do you need to do next? Keep pushing, or maybe you need to take a break, re-rack it, try again.
Right.
So yeah, I'm happy to provide some of the information, because that's been the biggest change, I would say. The most radical change is we don't have to do this all ourselves. Because I think what I see in so many others, and I know I've seen in myself, is we have this like a chip on our shoulder. Like we want to prove to the world, well, no, I can do that thing.
Definitely.
Okay, you can, but is that the best use of your energy? Probably not.
No, probably not.
Yeah, can I just link the two together? Because I want to bring all this.
Yeah, bring us on home, and great organic summary. Plug, Ryan. Yeah, bring us home.
Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll link to your program, put that as a resource in the show notes. So everybody definitely go check that out. And I totally believe in this too. As an ADHD coach, I've seen the transformational value in my clients directly. So this is great how you kind of ideologically separated these two services, where it's like, hey, if you want the individualized coaching work where you can go deeper into some different things, like let's do that. But if it's just body doubling and like kind of you're working on some tasks, but you just need someone to show up and be with you and kind of be there while you do some stuff, you probably don't need to have this very costly and intensive personalized coaching. You can go to the PAL program with Ryan Mayer. Check that out. But what I want to bring back is, so we talked about visualization, the power of mental rehearsal. And I think that this is a 1-2 punch that's probably the two of the greatest skills and interventions, let's say, maybe skills are the wrong word, but interventions for ADHD that's out there. So I think like if you use the mental rehearsal, set the intention, use radical acceptance to say this, stop shooting yourself and stop thinking I should need whatever it is, or I should be able to do this by myself, or I should have started earlier. Take that out, use radical acceptance, and think to yourself, this is where I'm at. This is what needs to get done. This is my priority. Then what we do, we move into the task initiation and actually doing the thing, right? Now, doing it, that starting the task and actually initiating things is one of the hardest things for ADHD. And what we're talking about here is having that support, that body doubling, that accountability, that layer of accountability. It exponentially increases the amount of follow through and being able to do the thing we're intending to do. So we set the intention, and it should be a strong intention, specific, visualize that, and then layer in the accountability. Use a program like Ryan's to layer that in. There's a few others out there, and it sounds like, Ryan, yours, correct me if I'm wrong here, but yours is a little bit more higher level, a little more personalized than like a Focus Mate. There's
Correct.
Eric Tivers also has like an adult study hall. There's a few others out there. Focus Mate kind of is just like, let's set our goal at the beginning, state what we're going to do, mute ourselves, and then check in at the end, which still helps, right? But it sounds like yours is a little bit more, you can talk it through, you can kind of get support when needed. The person's with you the whole time. They're not just doing their own thing, they're supporting you. Am I hearing that right?
Yes. And what you're also hearing is that it's 12:01. So my group call started a minute ago.
Oh,
so
shit.
I got to go.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to leave everybody with. You don't have to hit the bullseye of the target in order to score points in life. So remember, if you want to hit your targets, you got to pick your targets. Specific is terrific, but just pick something, rehearse it in your mind, and go towards it. And in part 3, we'll talk about relationships with yourself, your partners, and your children who might have ADHD.
This is why we love Coach Ryan Mayer. Where can we find you, baby?
You can find me at ryanmayercoaching.com or at ADHD Coach Ryan on the socials. Make sure to check out my YouTube channel because I also have a podcast, the More Than ADHD podcast. Can't wait to see you all over there. Gentlemen, I love you both. Thanks for the work you're doing.
Much love. Same to you. Get to that group, baby.
Thanks,
Bring
Brian.
this energy.
As always.
See you guys next time.
All right.
I low-key want all of our podcast interviews to start and end with someone having to come and go like that. The energy of like going to my next thing, hashtag ADHD. Like, yeah, right, goodbye. And there's something really refreshing about an episode just ending.